Shalom, and welcome to Light of the Hill Ministries. In today's teaching, we will be talking about summer fruit basking. If you want to follow along, I will be posting this in the comment box below, down, under the teaching. Hear this, you who are swallowing up the needy, to do away with the poor of the land, saying, when does the new moon pass, so that we sell grain on the Sabbath, so that we trade our wheat, to make the ephah small and the shekel large, and to falsify the scales by deceit, to buy the poor for silver and the needy for a pair of sandals, and sell the chaff of the wheat. Yahweh has sworn by the excellency of Yahweh, I shall never forget any of their works. Shall the land not tremble for this? Let everyone mourn who dwells in it? And all of it shall swell like the river, heave and subside like the river of Mitzrayim. Amos 8, verses 4 through 8. The fruit of stewardship was the next to be exposed as being bad. When you look at Israel at the time that they were being addressed here, you could see that they had forgotten everything Yahweh had done for them, from being brought up from nothing to having everything. From being delivered from slavery to living in the promised land and being established as a mighty nation, chosen as a set-apart nation as Yahweh promised. And now, if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all peoples. For all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a set-apart nation. Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Israel. Exodus 19, verses 5 through 6. They forgot who they were and where they belonged, and the answer to the question of what they did with what they had been given is a tragic one. They had suffocated the poor as their wealth made them greedy and selfish, and as a result, they refused to aid them and took advantage of them. They were so consumed by their desire for wealth, fleshly pleasure, and ego that they didn't even keep the Sabbath as a Sabbath, preferring to get ready for business as soon as it was done. They didn't delight in Yahweh on the Sabbath. Instead, they were thinking about business and couldn't wait to trade and make shady transactions in order to enrich themselves by deception, as Yeshayahu, or as he's commonly called, Isaiah, tells us. If you turn back your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my set-apart day, it shall call the Sabbath of the light, the set-apart day of Yahweh honored, and shall honor it, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words. Then you shall delight yourself in Yahweh, and I shall cause you to ride on the heights of the earth, and feed you with the inheritance of Yaakov your father. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. Isaiah 58, verses 13 to 14. How do you keep the Sabbath? Do you delight in Yahweh? Not in your own ways, pleasures, or words? If so, the promise is magnificent and certain. He will lead you to ride on the heights of the earth and feed you Yaakov's inheritance. Israel was only going through the motions because they knew they had to keep the Sabbath, but their hearts were not in it. Many people today are doing the same thing. They may have left the false system of worship and try to keep the Sabbath as a rule, but their hearts have not yet accepted the genuine delight of it. It is a delight in Him with His Word as a set-apart assembly, increasing in relationship with Yahweh who loves us, not just a break from the everyday grind. You will not want the day to end if you delight in Him, soaking up every instance of His presence. On Shabbat, Do you find yourself thinking about business and other matters? Let us learn from Israel's errors and make every effort to enjoy his Shabbat. Trust Yahweh that when you delight in him, he will take care of the rest so you don't have to. The love of many at business gripped Israel, so they eagerly awaited the end of Shabbat. They were also robbing their own people for unjust gain through deception, as they would falsify the value of goods being traded, raising prices even for the poorest among them, and robbing Yahweh in the process. They utilized false scales, overpriced goods, and even exploited the poor by gathering up their fields for little to nothing instead of assisting them, and then selling the chaff of the wheat. As a result, when people bought grain with chaff, they got defiled grain rather than clean grain. This was also a reference to selling the droppings of the fruit that was supposed to be given to the poor and the stranger, and they would have no right to sell that which was Yahweh's. And when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. And do not glean your vineyard or gather every grape of your vineyard. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Leviticus 19, verses 9 through 10. It was all about the money, no matter who was taken advantage of. And in the process, they were in fact deceiving Yahweh. In fact, Malachi talks about robbing Yahweh when they kept part of the tithe for themselves. For I am Yahweh, I shall not change, and you, O sons of Yaakov, shall not come to an end. For the days of your fathers you have turned aside from my laws, and did not guard them. Turn back to me, and I shall turn back to you, said Yahweh of hosts. But you said, in what shall we turn back? Would a man rob Elohim? Yet you are robbing me. But you said, in what way have we robbed you? In the tithe and the offering. You have cursed me with a curse, for you are robbing me, this nation, all of it. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, and let there be food in my house. And please prove me in this, said Yahweh of hosts, whether I do not open for you the windows of the heavens, and shall pour out for you the boundless blessing. And I shall rebuke the devourer for you, so that it does not destroy the fruit of your ground, nor does the vine fail to bear fruit for you in the field, said Yahweh of hosts. And all the nations shall call you blessed, for you shall be a land of delight, said Yahweh of hosts. Malachi 3, verses 6 through 12. The Torah mandated that a tithe, or a tenth of the produce of the land, be given to Yahweh. And all the tithe of the land, of the seed of the land, of the fruit of the tree, belongs to Yahweh. It is set apart to Yahweh. Leviticus 27, verse 30. Specific offerings were required as well, but the people held back portions of the tithe and offerings for themselves. They were breaking the Torah and in effect robbing Yahweh. They were taking what belonged to Yahweh and using it for themselves. When it comes to wealth among Yahweh's people today, things are no different. For many people, figuring out how to tithe as little as possible becomes a challenge. What exactly do I mean? Take a moment to consider. Many people who own businesses can skillfully create well-crafted techniques to reduce the tithe of what Yahweh has given them, as they have been taught through a worldly financial system, and try to apply worldly means to pure fruit of stewardship unto Yahweh for their own consciousness' sake. Many people will pay all the bills using many using money from their business. This can also work in other areas of our life. When we don't give our wholehearted love, trust, obedience, service, and worship, we must remember that everything comes from the Father of lights. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no change nor shadow of turning. James 1, verse 17. We rob Yahweh when we are stingy of our time, keeping it mostly for ourselves, and neglecting to pray, worship, and to serve the needs of others. Yahweh deserves nothing less than the absolute best of our time, attention, obedience, devotion, and resources. We owe Yahweh our very lives. Knowing that you were redeemed from your futile behavior inherited from your fathers, not with what is corruptible, silver or gold, but with the precious blood of Messiah, as of a lamb, unblemished, spotless, foreknown, indeed before the foundation of the world, but manifested in these last times for your sakes, who through him believe in Elohim, who raised him from the dead and gave him honor, so that your belief and expectation are in Elohim. 1 Peter 1, verses 18 through 21. Our willingness to express Yahweh's ownership of our lives through open-hearted, cheerful giving is the minimum we could do. Yahweh loves this kind of joyful giver. Let each one give as he proposes in his heart, not of grief or of necessity, for Elohim loves a joyous giver. 2 Corinthians 9, verse 7. As he did for Israel, Yahweh still holds open the door for us to repent of our wayward, half-hearted devotion and to come into his presence, offering him our entire selves. To surrender our lives to Yahweh means to love and trust him with all our hearts through intimate, daily fellowship. We are precious in his eyes. Since you were precious in my eyes, you have been honored, and I have loved you. And I gave men in your place and peoples for your lives. Isaiah 43, verse 4. Listen again and tell it to yourself what Yahweh thinks about you when you love him. You are precious. You are honored by him. And get this, you are loved by him. And he loves you. You can believe that because he sent his son, Yahushua, to prove his love for you. And the surest safeguard against falling into sin of robbing Yahweh is trusting in his limitless love and abandoning ourselves in a wholehearted devotion to him. Yahweh gives us ripe resources, and when you hoard them instead of using them while they're still fresh for his honor, then that fruit will begin to rot and open doors to decay. Israel had let the fruit of stewardship rot through greed and selfishness. As a result, Yahweh would take away their prosperity. A life of obedience is evidenced in the good fruit of sincere worship, a diligent stewardship of that which he entrusts into your care. Keep your basket free of rotten fruit and compromise. But remember that, for the love of silver is the root of all kinds of evil, for which some, longing for it, have strayed from the belief and pierced themselves through with many pangs. 1 Timothy 6, verse 10. Rather, Apollos tells us that, but you, O man of Elohim, flee from all of this and pursue righteousness, reverence, belief, endurance, meekness. Fight the good fight of belief. Lay hold on everlasting life, to which you were also called and have confessed the good confession before many witnesses. In the sight of Elohim, who gives life to all, and of Messiah, Yahweh, who witnessed the good confession before Pontius Pilate, I charge you that you guard the commands spotlessly, blamelessly, until the appearing of our Master Yahweh Messiah. 1 Timothy 6, verses 11 to 14. Hallelujah. In the next teaching, we will be talking about the fruit of the Word, Yahweh willing. If you like this teaching, please comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And click on the notification button to be notified of the next teaching. Yahweh bless. And shalom to your homes.